Welcome to my new Draft Showcase series, Mega Edition. This series takes a Pokemon that can Mega Evolve and showcases its use in singles draft format. This series will also take a little bit of influence from metas in Pokemon Champions and Smogon Singles. As the series goes on, I will slowly add and improve the video format. In the last video, I forgot to mention when you should be drafting Mega Scizor and certain movesets, so I'll attempt to add them in this video. This episode will feature Mega Venusaur, a very bulky Mega and the first one I ever finished a draft season with. A quick rundown of its relevant stats: Mega Venusaur gains a big 40 in defense, 22 in special attack, and 20 in special defense. Like Mega Scizor, it has fantastic 80, 123, 120 defenses that allow it to be trained either defensively or specially defensively. Mega Venusaur offers a unique skill set that no other Pokemon like it matches. When Venusaur Mega Evolves, it gains the ability Thick Fat, halving the damage it takes from fire and ice type attacks. Because Venusaur is usually weak to these two types, Thick Fat essentially makes it to where it is only weak to Psychic and Flying, two types that aren't common coverage options. This trait makes Mega Venusaur an outstanding blanket check to almost anything you want it to. And due to its dual grass poison typing, it grants draft teams a Pokemon that can handle fairy types, opposing grass types, and provides your team a toxic spike absorber. These are all wonderful traits to have on your team, and although Venusaur is a grass type that doesn't resist ground, a trait commonly wanted in defensive grasses, it mostly makes up for it with all of these positive attributes. To give it an estimate, I'd say drafting this Pokemon round 4-ish, around the 10 to 13 point range, is generally safe, as although it is a very strong Pokemon, more times than not, it's not an essential part to most people's early draft cores. This vastly does depend on who you're drafting with, of course. Mega Venusaur tends to work best on bulky offense and defensively oriented teams. The main reason for this is because Venusaur tends to slow down the pace of play through its plethora of utility moves and its ability to just sometimes sit on the field, sort of the opposite of pivot and hyper offense teams. It glues together many defensive cores, pairing well with defensive steel types that can set up hazards while also covering Venusaur's two weaknesses. Base Venusaur acts very differently compared to its Mega counterpart. Its base version is almost exclusively drafted as a breaker on some teams, thanks to Chlorophyll. While Mega Venusaur can still be trained offensively from time to time, Grass Poison isn't the greatest offensive combo, and even though it does learn Earth Power for good coverage, it cannot boost and reach the damage it wants to while also taking hits nor boosting its speed. This is mainly due to its gaining of Thick Fat and having to hold the Venusaurite. On the flip side though, Mega Venusaur is able to use utility moves and rely on the secondary effects more than its base form ever could. A typical Mega Venusaur moveset consists of two of the three following moves: Giga Drain, which partially heals you, Sludge Bomb, which has a 30% poison chance, and Earth Power for great coverage. Venusaur almost always runs Synthesis to give itself a reliable form of recovery. Finally, the last move to two move slots can be narrowed down to a few utility moves, them being Leech Seed, Toxic, Roar, or even Knockoff. This Pokemon does have a case of 4 move slot syndrome, but can squeeze in other niche options into its moveset if they work best in specific matchups. Here are some teams I've used and theorized that have Mega Venusaur. I'm going to skim the first team as this was the first ever draft team that I did a full season with back in early 2018. Can you believe that? I was pretty bad back then, but still wanted to showcase it as it still had notable pieces that provide support to Venusaur, namely Suicune and Thundurus. Mega Venusaur is a perfect switch into anything Suicune doesn't like, as it deals with electric and grass types greatly and can absorb any unwanted status. The second team is a tournament team, and looking at it, look at how amazing Mega Meganium and Pelipper would look on this team. Regardless, Mega Venusaur pairs well with Uxie, granting the team every utility move it needs between the two. Half of the offense is meant to deal with Venusaur's weaknesses, while the other half attempts to take advantage of the Rain Core I had going on there. The last two teams are teams I have theorized that I believe would work really well. This first sample team is an offensive variant that revolves around getting guaranteed value from the Venusaur and Skarmory via hazards, leech seed, or chip damage. This will give the breakers the luxury to never miss out on damage rolls and makes revenge killing a lot easier. The second sample team has a Corviknight and goes all in on supporting Palafin, mostly with great hazard control and momentum options. Like I mentioned, Suicune is an amazing pairing with Mega Venusaur, and the thought process here is similar enough with Palafin to where it potentially becomes a one-man wrecking crew. This week I have two battles that showcase Mega Venusaur, one of which I have alluded to, and this is my most recent quarterfinals playoff game, where I got walled by Mega Venusaur, as we're about to watch here. Mega Venusaur is pretty good in this game at walling my defensive core. Now, I could have dual Wing Beat on Scizor, but I don't. So, and my opponent doesn't know that right away, but they'll figure it out throughout the game. They are mixed bulk, which I think works here because they are probably planning on leaning into Bundle and Victini, because those two mons are pretty good into my team. And Victini can force out Vaporeon, as we're going to see, and Venusaur just comes in on Vaporeon for like lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Kind of a rough turn one here for me, as I lose a lot of HP. I am a Nasty Plot Hydreigon. We're going to see right here, by the way, like the U-turn right into the Venusaur. The only thing Vaporeon could do is like flip turn, and I do not have flip turn on my build, so pretty tough stuff. They Mega and they call out the Scizor, which is going to force me to roost a little bit early. Not really the biggest deal, I'm kind of just scouting stuff, but it's still like, you know, they see U-turn and roost now, that's two moves instantly. They know I got Bullet Punch, so do I have the dual Wing Beat is the question. A lot of this early game is dancing around and trying to get hazard control, and they keep going into Victini, which is like working out pretty well for them. They're getting a lot of offensive pressure early. I do get my rocks here, and the thing with Venusaur, as I mentioned, is that it's only weak to Psychic and Flying, correct? And I have a Mesprit. My Iron Leaves is very good into it, and that's like kind of all I actually have for damage. I do have a bait set with Nature's Madness Brave Bird to try and catch it, but besides these two Pokemon, I have nothing that can like hard break Venusaur. And I know that in the back, these two mons are, especially Iron Leaves is very good at it, but it's something that you have to like, I almost have to save it just for the Venusaur. Again, they're establishing some hazard control. Yes, I got the Great Tusk very low and I'm learning a lot, but they can just go into Venusaur and just sit here. I thought they would Earth Power predicting. They have rocks up, so it's kind of hard for me to actually switch in if they get the Earth Power play correct. This time, like, sure, I get the play correct, but I have to roost, right? And they are playing this Venusaur very well by playing aggressive, knowing that. As they go into Victini, which is getting like immense value in this early to mid game here, and I'm going to lose my Vaporeon. It is the thing Venusaur walled the greatest, but at this point we've kind of established that I do not have dual Wing Beat, so yeah, there's that. I bring out Iron Leaves here thinking maybe I can try and just end the game because I have Tusk low, Victini's pretty low, as we knock out the Great Tusk here. The mistake I made though is, like, I hit the Throat Chop here, and at first I'm thinking that's probably a bad play, but because they Swords Dance, it's not the worst. The bad play actually comes from me staying in here, and sure, I tank it and I take another like knockout, and Iron Leaves is doing a lot of work here. Like I bulldoze through 2.5 mons here, and Victini's already low. But the issue comes in is that since Iron Leaves is gone now, my Mesprit's low. I have one switch in. It's almost looking to the point, and I use it right here. A little bit of a misplay here as well. I kind of just have no ways to deal with the Venusaur, right? So that goes down. Bundle comes in. I could try and catch it here. Like, in my mind, looking at it, I know like there's no world you should stay in, and they don't. And I just simply do not call it out. So because I don't call this play out, among losing all of my other answers, Venusaur just has the ability to sit on my squad now. I had Nasty Plot, but because I'm so low, it's very risky, and there was a turn like right here I could have plotted and maybe forced the Venu out, but very realistically I don't think there is a world where I could have actually knocked it out. So you're gonna see here we just end up losing at this point. Scizor sits on top of this for a while, but this is just solely because my opponent is just not getting a Spidef chop with Earth Power. You can spam this move so much in a scenario like this, so like we get him eventually, but it just doesn't matter. We end up losing. So this showcases that if you do not prepare for Mega Venusaur with like the niche coverage, like dual Wing Beat, for example, and don't play your very specific way to deal with Venusaur correctly, it can do what it did in this game. The other battle I wanted to showcase is almost 8 years old, which is just so crazy looking at this date that I'm looking at here. I was bad back then, and you're gonna see this gameplay is definitely not the greatest. There's some really wacky stuff. There's one like really wacky set here, right? You're gonna see, but it does. This is a good Venusaur game, even then, you know. So this is why I'm still gonna watch this and ignore the like very awful nicknames. By the way, I don't know what old me was doing, but the whole thing with Venusaur, I keep harping on the psychic and flying thing, but if your opponent doesn't have like an established breaker, as you can look at my opponent's team here, the only breaker is like really Gardevoir, and Gardevoir already sort of beats Venusaur. This is Mega Gardevoir. So outside of Mega Gardevoir, my opponent literally cannot do anything versus Mega Venusaur. So my whole game plan should just be to not lose the Gardevoir at this point, as you're gonna see here. This early game is me Crocodile trying to establish Hash control. I got rid of Eviole on this. I Toxic Gligar. I think that was actually a prediction. I'm bad, but I think that was supposed to be a prediction. So I'm not that bad. I have Tailwind on Suicune for some reason. I really don't know why, but I just do. Anyway, I can bring Venusaur out on Serena because it just hardballs it. It can't do anything to me. This thing's Eviolite is knocked off, so it can only like stay in on Venusaur for so long. Raikou gets like absolutely nothing for Venusaur. It could, in theory, Calm Mind, but you know, I don't think that's a 1v1. Raikou still really wins anyway. So you can see here, Venusaur is just sitting in and putting in the work. Because Gardevoir is the only thing that can break down my Venusaur, and Gardevoir is weak to Sludge Bomb, so it's very, very hard to get the Gardevoir in, as you can see. So this is one of those things where against more passive-ish teams, I don't want to say passive, but more setup-oriented, especially when the setup is just really weak to Venusaur, it's really good at just sitting there and walling and forcing a lot of damage like it's doing here. Venusaur doesn't have to get the knockouts, but you saw I'm doing 40% the Gligar with Giga Drain. I did, how much? Like 40-ish% to Persian as well. I'm just doing so much damage, trying to force my win con, which is Kartana, I think, on this game. As I get Venusaur in for free on the Serena. Again, I can switch on the Serena, I can switch on the Raikou. Venusaur could very realistically switch into kind of anything on my opponent's team and get value. It's just managing your resources and not to get too overwhelmed and not to pressure Venusaur too much, you know? I still have 5 other Mons, so you want to think of it like that. Again, I can't beat the Gardevoir, so I have to just deal with the Gardevoir in basically any other fashion. It doesn't really matter as long as I get the free switch into Kartana, because that is my win con. And it can offensively deal with the Gardevoir among other Pokemon on my opponent's team. So, you see here, I click Smart Strike, I click it again. I think I'm like baiting choiced. I'm not actually choiced in this game, but I'm playing it like I am as I catch the Manaphy there. Persian is faster. They go into Serena, which just gets knocked out at this point. And now Kartana is finally like really laying into my opponent's team here and just claiming kills and kills on end. They do actually go out here to Persian and Z-move and actually knock out the Kartana, so they probably could have done this a little bit earlier. But I still would have probably claimed Manaphy and Serena, and at that point, I could still clean up the game with my other Mons in the back. As you see, Gardevoir is going to clean up this game. But Venusaur, again, despite, I don't think it actually got any knockouts in this game, but it just exerted so much pressure in the mid game because my opponent can't really deal with it defensively. So that is another really good showcase of Mega Venusaur. Not like flashy, but still doing a lot. So that's gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed this style of video. I did look to improve the quality of this video by adding extra details, upping the volume, and slightly improving the script. So hopefully it shows, and we will continue to do this as the series progresses. If you like this video, dropping one of them would be very sweet. And with all that, I'm Galladite 74, and I'll see you next time.